I am Mudrick Bartholomew Watson III.
I am Thon 50, 7th Emperor of Nibiru.
And you are now watching The B-Shine.
There's really no before hip-hop came in the picture. Hip-hop is 77. It happened when we was happening, you know what I mean? Well, because we're in Motown, the Motown sound, you know, our parents, you know, they playing the Smokey Robinsons and the Diana Ross Supremes, Four Tops, you hearing all of that. And then, you know, you instantly get an affinity for it because it's great music. And it kind of sets a certain foundation in you to know what great music sounds like. You know, that I know that's for us. We, you know, just having that background, you know, the Stevie Wonder. I was just thinking about Stevie today. I heard the message on the radio, you know, that was, you know, cool or whatever, but it was definitely the Motown music.
I would say that from my point of view, I was raised in the church. So my main music not only was Motown, it was a lot of the gospel music too. So my mother's a gospel musician. My dad was rock and roll. He was in Detroit with his brothers. They had a group called the Five Trays. So that's like when the Motown era was hot, you could get paid just by performing like a street artist in clubs. You know what I mean? So that kind of rich music background, my dad always performed. My mother performed. So music was always in me. And then I think like maybe third grade, I started playing the clarinet. And like I was telling you, what was it? Atkinson Elementary School. The first day I went into my music class, I met a guy by the name of James Yancey, who was Jay Dilla. He played the cello, and his sister Martha played the flute. So I guess I was a classical musician first before the hip-hop. I say the first time hip-hop, when it hit me, it was Jailhouse Rap, Disco 3. Y'all know them as the Fat Boys. Shout out to the Disco 3. When I heard that first time, the storytelling of the in jail without the bail, it was like, what? Like, I didn't know what bail was and what jail was, you know what I'm saying, from like Monopoly or whatever, but not the real concept. And just, you know, them breaking into the place, eating up the food, eating all the pizzas, and that kind of storytelling. Like, I could not stop listening to this record. Like, I got the record from my neighbor, Eklund Robinson, who was my neighbor and my babysitter. She was a dancer, so my first introduction to hip-hop was a b-boy. I would go over there and dance and break, and she was, you know what I'm saying? So by the time I got to Detroit hip-hop, that's when I met him, because he was rapping around the corner from me. And he was the best rapper, Thime was. So that's around the time when I was trying to learn how to rap, and his name was Deuce Deuce at the time. So, it's funny, Deuce Deuce, 22, that's funny. And he was it. He was it. Like, him, Kevo, and then I would go around the corner and see him, and then like I told you, on Syracuse, that street, that was the first time I ever met Proof. And that's when Diamond Proof linked up, and, well, the Marshall story comes later, but they were in our neighborhood. He was the link between all of that as far as the Detroit hip-hop. I don't think I met an artist. He was probably the first artist I met that actually was rapping and good, and I respected and was a fan of. And I made me believe that I could do it.
I mean, like I said, I heard the message because, you know, that was playing on the radio or whatever. But honestly, it didn't really affect me until my father, he walked up to me and he gave me Run DMC Jam Master Jay 12-inch vinyl. Wow. And he was like, I know you're going to like this. I know you're going to feel it. And I was like, okay. And I threw that 12-inch on.
What was it?
It was Jam Master Jay.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what is this? Like, this is crazy. I played that record until it was warped. Detroit artist that I first heard, you know, it was Dr. I.
It was the first one you heard?
Like, that I heard for real was Dr. I, yeah, man. Like, wow. It was the guy that was connected to the guy, DJ Kevo. It was my boy's cousin, and he was rapping, and he was going around doing shows and stuff, and I was just intrigued by how he was doing it. You know, he was like incorporating wrestling into his lyrics. So it would be like, I put you on the top rope and superplex you, and it was stuff like that. And I was just like, You could do that? like I was just like blown away by that, right?
Yeah, because he was a battle rapper, wasn't
Yeah, he was a battle rapper, and that's what he was doing, and I just was like blown away by that. To fast forward and to just put Mud, Proof, and myself together, you know, we recorded some songs, and that was fun. And it was like, yeah, I want to do this type of thing. But to honestly say that I really, really, really wanted to do it was we were in the hip hop shop, and somebody called from, what was that they called from? It was like,
I don't know the story.
it was like Puerto Rico or something.
Oh, yeah, after I came back from DC?
And they called from Puerto Rico and was like, you know, it's this group 5 Elements, I got this tape. And I'm like, what? This was like songs we just recorded, you know, with Dilla in the basement, and it had made its way to Puerto Rico.
Right.
So it was like, oh, wait a minute. You mean to tell me on a cassette tape in the basement, I went from Detroit to Puerto Rico?
The people calling looking for me?
This could be real, you know? So, and then we put Yesteryears together.
The Rhythm Kitchen was the first part in the 90s where there was real hip hop. When I say real hip hop, I'm talking 5 Elements. No pun intended. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're actually doing it. His brother's there with some knowledge, some books. You got the graffiti art, you got the DJing, you got the breakers, you got the MCs. The actual elements were being demonstrated. And this came from Maurice Malone and Jerome Mongo being smart enough to rent out Stanley's restaurant on Baltimore and Midtown. And from that is like, there was no internet, there was none of that at that time. It was like early 91 maybe, I want to say. And from that, man, on Fridays and Saturdays, that's where everybody congregated, and a lot of us were too young to get in, so we was sneaking in. Our homeboy Live Manifest would let us in through the back way, and then we would get in, and once you're in, you're in. You know, it's like everybody looked the same. I think Cross Colors was hot at the time, so that's like the red, black, and green. That's that early 90s era. So other than that, that was it. Just the congregation of maybe battles in the parking lot, meeting certain artists. Oh man, I like you, man. That was dope. What y'all doing? Oh, my man got some beats. Networking. So I think SV was there, but they wasn't Slum Village then. They were called Cinepod. That's dopeness backwards, where they were signed the John Sally Hoops along with Rosenberg and Supreme Clientele. So the first time I ever met Paul Rosenberg was in a cypher in the Rhythm Kitchen. Like off some freestyle, passing him the mic and then him taking it in, you know what I'm saying? Like he was there. So that was like the first level of like, you know, like, wow. Oh, well, I wanted his sister. I wasn't really into the beats. I was trying to see what was up with Martha. Just so happened that Proof ran into him. And then one day we stopped by over there and it was like, oh, I know them already. I didn't know John Doe or Dilla was James Yancey. You understand what I'm saying? It was like by the time we were teenagers, you know what I'm saying? Ahmad, got Thyme, everybody got their pseudonyms. So as we met around the scene, nobody knew anybody's real name. It was all code name. That's Maximum. That's, you know what I'm saying, such and such. That's that guy. So once we found out he was the man with the beats, it was like 1 + 1 make 2. We already know each other.
Dilla, Proof, and myself, we would like have these long, drawn out 3-way calls. Just like really just getting to know each other, you know what I mean? Like, and we would just kick it about everything under the sun, you know, just trying to get that rapport. And Dilla being a producer, not just a beat maker, you know, that was part of his process too, you know what I mean? He was getting to know us, we was getting to know him, and then, you know, he presented us, the first thing he did, we got a beat tape from him. Some stuff that he thought we would like. We picked a couple beats off of there. How many did we pick off of there? 3. We picked like 3 beats off of there.
And What You Want was one of those.
Yeah.
93.
Yeah, and we did one of those. We only did one of those songs.
We did all those songs. We never put them out though.
Which
It was Hi Mom Hip Hop. Remember that? Look Mom Hip Hop.
Wow.
Yeah. See, you forgot about that one. Let me see. We did. It was a Look Mom Hip Hop. That was the first one. And then it was the What You Want Is What You Need. We put that on the album that Time Forgot. That was some of the Hidden Master stuff. Right. And then it was that other one with the, I won't say Panic in the Cypher, but it was before Panic in the Cypher. I forgot, but it was 3 beats we did, 3 songs we did. We wrote the songs. And then around that time is when Souls of Mischief came out. That was the 93 to Infinity. And that was around the time when I think A+ had this line in the 93 to Infinity. He said, if you really dope, why ain't you signed yet? But I get my checks from Jive Zama, I'm Obama, you will see from now to infinity. And Proof took that line, because he was a battle rapper, like I told you, he was serious with it. He took that line to heart on some, if you really dope, why ain't you signed yet? And from that point was a separation between us and him, because, I mean, like, by the time we had met him, you know, say he was 15, he already had a child, you know what I mean? So I'm saying, so child support, this is a young dude with grown man responsibilities. So I think that was around the time he dropped out of high school, was just like, forget it, I gotta go start working. He was working at Little Caesars, I think around that time. So it was just basically hustle, get the money, hit the studio, that kind of thing. And then he went solo for a minute, linked up with Maurice, and then that's when the hip hop shop opened up. And then that's when we linked up a little bit shorter after that, like 94. So the 94 era is like when we really got serious with the recording and actually stacking songs. Yesteryears is a product of what we did from that 94 once we all linked back up. Because Dilla just basically came to us and was like, look, y'all need to hook back up with your mans, because we never stopped working with Dilla. We had our own, like I said, like I was showing you, we're right down the street. Proof was on the other side of town. So we got the producer right here in our backyard. So we getting beats from him. We doing our own thing. The group was called It Be Us. So even in some of the new album and the global warming, you hear me saying It Be Us. It Be Us. That was like our group once we separated from the Proof thing with the Yaffle Daffle. That was in the original name of the group. Yaffle Daffle came from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon Babu. Shout out to Babu. But he wore the fez, you know what I'm saying? So anytime he would say certain things, he would say Yaffle Daffle or whatever. And nothing would work exactly right, but it would be just as good. And he could still save the day. And that's how we were in the studio. We would go in and say, we're going to make this song. We're going to make, Public Enemy, The Empire Strikes Back, whatever. We're going to make that song, redo that. And then we would go in there and then we would do our version of the song, but it would never sound like what we thought we were trying to do. But it was just as dope, and we developed our own sound. So that became the magic in the studio. So as far as that, Dilla coming back saying, hey, man, y'all need to link back up. Because Proof, yeah, you dope solo, but, man, that group thing y'all was doing was hot. So we were like the first 3-man crew. And I think shortly after that, that's when Slum Village added by 10 into their 3-man crew. So we were developing each other. Like Slum Village and 5Ella was almost like the same group, because we had the same producers, same master teachers, same people giving us the same information. So a lot of just the conversations, like Dime was saying, and friendship and more friends coming around, meeting by 10, meeting T3, they doing beats. You know, we all trading flows, freestyling. We created our own hub. So that's why you hear T3 and Dilla on that first Yesteryears album, on the hooks and, you know what I'm saying, all that kind of stuff.
And then that's when the actual music hub really got going. It was maybe about 15 of us. And we would be in different places, you know, at each other's houses all the time. And we were working on music all the time, coming up with different flows or whatever. And like you said, we worked on our first EP. It was Yesteryears. And, you know, all 4 songs was produced by Dilla.
Oh, 6.
It was 6? It was 5? 5 songs.
Yeah, 5.
5 songs produced by Dilla.
Were you with him when he was making?
Man, tell him how he made the beats, Tom. Please tell him how he made the beats. This is how we developed. Tell him how we made the sound. No, we probably shouldn't tell him that.
What? Which part? Because it was
how we did it off the MP the other way, and then got that noisy.
You talking about because it was broke?
The rough drive. Nah, not the broke. How you did
that was later.
Tape?
Oh, the tape stuff.
The tape.
We had he had these beats that he had made or whatever, and like those first few beats, pretty much, we was kind of explaining to him how we, you know, the sound that we were looking for. like what we wanted to do. Like, listen, Detroit hip hop kind of sound like this, New York kind of sound like that. We like kind of looking for something like in the middle or whatever.
Not too backpack, not too gangsta.
Yeah, not too gangster, not too backpack or whatever. So we gave them the formula of how we wanted it. And then we got the beat tape with the beats for Yesteryears, which now everybody knows is Neo Soul. So that was our idea. And he was able to bring it to life. So, you know what I mean? It was like, we want some hardcore, pretty stuff. like, you know what I mean? Proof and Mud, it's like, when you say soulmates, that's different. It means different things. You can have soulmates for creating, soulmates love. Those two guys are my soulmates creatively. Like, we literally could be in two different rooms and end our songs the exact same way.
Or the last word
rhymes with the first word. Like, we don't even have to be in the same room. Like, that is just how, what it is. And but that particular project, Yesteryears, it was very, very similar to that. Like, I was working real hard with T3 on just coming up with different flows. So on that whole EP, all my stuff is just straight freestyle, off the head. Like, just went in there and just did it. Like, it was like, is that what it's gonna be? That's what it's gonna be. You know what I mean? And Mud, he was just coming into his own. So it was like he was a combination of everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was like, you ever seen Five Deadly Venoms, the Kung Fu flick? Well, it's five guys who have master styles, and there was one guy who the teacher couldn't teach a particular style, so he taught him some of everybody's style, and that's who he was. Right. He was some of everybody. So, and then you got Proof, who was just a master of what he did. So we came together and we laid the most natural things we could do.
Well, actually, before the project got released, this is where the hip hop shop and the phone call takes place. Because Stein was working at the hip hop shop at that time, him and Proof. I wasn't working there yet, and I was still in high school actually. So, see, I told you. Basically, what took place was they had a see, how did this work? It basically was like we had a series of songs that was just basically a demo. That's back when, please listen to my demo, the demo tape. So the demo tape eventually became Yesteryears with minus a few songs, because Levitation, remember, that was on there, and we redid the feedback and some other stuff. But basically, the tape just spread around the community. You know what I'm saying? Wherever I went, I had a tape or whatever, and I think I went to D.C. one time and linked up with some people from Texas, D.C., Puerto Rico, and gave this one dude the tape. He took it back because they loved hip-hop, and they never heard anything like that before. This is before Tribe. Like I said, this is before Dilla started, or that Uma sound, which is really Dilla. That's before all of that. So we were doing Neo Soul way before Erykah Badu or The Roots or any of those guys. You know what I mean? And it just went around. It just went crazy. So then we were in the hip-hop shop one day, and then Maurice Malone came over and was like, why are you guys being bootlegged? Like, why are you doing that? And it was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, why don't you just press it up and do it yourself? He was the businessman. You see what I'm saying? He had the motto because he owned the boutique, the hip-hop shop, and it was banging at that time. All kind of artists coming through, a little bit of everybody. So we were like, well, what is Disc Makers? And then he brought us the catalog and was like, here, y'all could get the art and do this and then press up the tape on its own and then sell it here, and then, you know what I mean? And Eureka. So we got to slanging. The hip-hop shop was our spot. And we was banging the tapes for $3. We sold like 300 in 2 days. Recouped again, came back, sold another 500. Went down to Atlanta, went to everywhere we went, we was selling tapes. We was on the independent grind, getting it, new sound, Dilla, Proof, Thine, Mud, the freshest hip-hop. at that particular time, and it rocked the whole city. Like, I think that's when a lot of the envy or the I could do it too, you know what I mean, came in as far as our peers. Because people put out records, like Fat Cat put out a record with Dilla, but he never put out like a whole project. You know what I'm saying? Dilla had Slum Village. Same thing though. They had certain demos that were circulating throughout the community, but not a solid project. So we started our own company. That was entertainment. From there, and then, man, everything was on from there on out. It was mixtapes and, WEGO, and Head was the DJ. So we started touring shows. It got crazy, man. It turned into a really big thing. I don't know. The circa had to be early 90s. That's around the time when I met Proof through Time. I wasn't in the group yet. I wasn't in the group until Proof dropped out. He quit, and then we became a group, and then I think I was probably at Osborne with Kaniva, Denon, Rich, Cap, Warbucks, 3, mostly the Runyon Ave. Anybody who from that Runyon Ave time, all those guys went to Osborne because Runyon Ave, so all the Runyon Ave cats were there. M would show up from time to time. Like I said, we would sneak him into the auditorium or the cafeteria to battle. It was battles. Well, actually, from third period in Osborne to 7th hour was all the lunch periods, and it was a crowded concert every day. There's a group called Crazy Tunes that I can remember. Phil Pot was there. He played football. He was a dope MC too. Genuine, his name is Boudang now. Boudang, another pioneer. That style of the syllables and all of that, like perfect rhyming, he and P were like the masters of that. And freestyling, they could do it off the head. So K9, he was another K9. Dang, it was so many MCs, man. Like it's a lot of people. I was beating on the tables. Me and my man G Funky Live, we would be the beats, and we're combo on beating on the table together, making up beats, humming certain stuff, and you know what I mean, like whatever we would hear off those. Remember those Time Life commercials of like they play Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, and you could buy the old tapes or whatever. We would listen to that stuff and hum those beats during the sound of the freestyle or whatever. And that was the music. So I was just watching them. I think I might have been a freshman at the time, 14, 13. And this is just me seeing Proof. And I knew he rhymed with Dime. And me going to the Rhythm Kitchen and stuff like that. But we really wasn't like a group tight then. So from that, man, I'll say probably like maybe the next year, 10th grade, that's when Proof dropped out. And what happened was Esham, got to give props to Esham, because Esham was the entrepreneurial mogul of putting out your own music, hands down, homegrown, doing it. Sound, he ain't get no beats from nobody else. It was him and his people doing it. You know what I mean? So him graduating from Osborne and having a record out when he was 17 left a huge musical impact on the school Osborne. So all the brothers that was there rhyming, they knew it was possible. You had dudes in there rocking the real life production jackets. You had Gigi was still there. That's one of Esham's younger dudes. So we knew the music was real and we could do it. It was just trying to figure out how to get better, who to talk to, how to put records out, because we didn't know that. We didn't have that knowledge yet, but we knew that it could be done. But it was just mainly blood sport, really. So then I started getting more courageous. I had a group with a friend of mine named Eric, and we were like the shadow group of what Time and Proof were doing. You know what I mean? We would roll with them, but we weren't like rhyming where they were rhyming. They were just kind of showing us. Basically, we was whack and we was trying to learn how to get dope. I put it to you like this. All roads in Detroit hip hop lead back to 5 Ella. We have not only ushered in, but we basically demonstrated on how to share with our brothers, create a foundation for hip hop, develop the sound. We were really into artist development, even though we didn't know what artist development was at the time. We were basically on somebody play this for you, man, that shit whack. come back, try something else. I'm gonna give you the truth. I'm not gonna, how you gonna get better if I don't tell you? Dudes, then they didn't have a chip on their shoulder. They take heed, come back next week, shit'll be jamming. Certain MCs, freestyling. Like I could remember Bugs, rest in peace to Bugs. Bugs was whack for a long time. Brothers just kept, look, man, do this, just keep going, keep going. He came in the shop one day and he was Bugs, and that was it. Nobody had nothing to say, like, oh, you've arrived. So we watched a lot of these brothers and ushered in their relevance. You know what I mean? So to say who was there, name the greatest ones, and I could tell you we influenced them. They could tell you that. Proof too, because, you know what I'm saying, he was in the group and we are all influencing one another. So it was a constant growth, constant artist development, constant DJ, still sharp and still, diamonds cut diamonds. So being in, you couldn't help but be around and not get sweet. From what y'all got from that 8 Mile movie is a little fucked up, and I'll say this because competition only breeds more ignorance and war and stuff like that. The battles were really only there to settle differences between the MCs. Say somebody had the Proof name. He came in, my name Proof. His name Proof. Oh, well, looks like we're going to have to throw in the instrumentals and figure out who the real Proof is. It wasn't, this is the whole culture of battle. And no. Once that movie came out, it totally discredited, it totally corrupted the justice system in which how we solved our differences, because Detroit is a very gangster type city. And you already know, some brothers, some brothers went to blows in the hip hop shop. It was some battles. Certain people said certain things. Certain dudes couldn't take it. Mop. You know what I mean? Certain things got handled. People got chastised. They came back, apologized. You know what I'm saying? It was all done. No harm, no foul. But yeah, it was serious, bro. It was like blood sport. Well, it was really 5Ella, really only involved in the hip hop shop. Like, that was our hub. Everybody else just came up and was kind of visiting and or hanging out or still in Source magazines, just trying to steal clothes and little shit like that. Like, the hip hop community didn't support the hip hop shop financially. It was the gangsters. Like we said, we had that tie to the gangsters and the ballers and the strip clubs and all of that. So that's who came in and bought the clothes and kept us fed. The hip hop heads, most of them dudes was broke, man. They were struggling. We worked there. That was our job. So, and selling tapes, you know what I'm saying? So we had to hustle on the side, do whatever we could do, you know what I'm saying? It was the spot. But nobody really was influential inside that place except for us. We curated and ran it. It was crews. Last one's out. That's about 30 dudes. You had Trump Tight. That's a few dudes. You had one of the dopest groups out of that Trump Tight thing to me was a group called the Rabies. Them dudes was out cold. It was who else? 31 Flavors, Shadow Nation. These were the crews of crews of crews. So that's summing up everybody basically without saying. People have to do their history to know, you know what I'm saying? Who's Shadow Nation? Who's these guys? They're still around. But then you had the DJs. So the DJs would come in and spin. You had DJ Head spinning. You had Slim Fast. You had Sabotage, Roll. Maurice Malone was a DJ too. DJ Soulfinger. You know what I'm saying? Those were his records. And he basically built the booth for himself because he was a DJ too. Tony Tone. Huge pioneer for the Detroit DJs and mixtapes. Butter used to come up, DJ Butter used to come up there. He had the Funky Fresh and the Flash. He was like the first dude that had a magazine. You know what I mean? Like when Tupac died in 96, we were on the cover with Tupac and his magazine because we had just dropped the Yesteryears officially in 96. Like I said, it was a, you know what I'm saying, bubbling up. It was like 94, we recorded it, it bubbled, and it was like, okay, we losing money, let's put it out. So everybody respected it, and it was like, damn, y'all doing it. Yeah, everybody, Slum, Fat Cat, like I said, it's our crew. That was our crew, though. You know what I mean? So, yeah, IQ was a part of our crew, too. You had B Flat. You had the Dirty Dozen dudes. This is before D12. There was, Esham even came up there. You feel me? He'd come up, pull up in the BMW, the 850, with the 666 on the license plate. Like, you don't know about the unholy, man. You got to learn about the unholy, man. The unholy, man, that's a whole nother science of in when it comes to MCing and doing that thing. He's the first of that.
Pretty much we did the EGO, right? Wasn't that next? What was that? What the time album that time forgot? Yeah. We just put together a full-length album of all the records that we had done already. It was like actually no brand new records that were on there. That's why it's called the album that time forgot. It was like accumulation of us figuring it out. You know what I mean? So if you like get that album and listen to it, you're actually listening to the creation of what Detroit hip hop is known for right now. You're like listening to it. Dilla, Dez, DJ Head. I think that was just them three, wasn't it? Jules did. DJ Jules. We don't push any buttons, but we definitely say what we want and tell people what to do.
How to push the button?
Definitely do that, because if we don't, we'll get what everybody else got. And we never wanted that. We always wanted it, everything that we did, to have a particular sound where people would be like, nah, I know that's a 5L record, you know what I mean? Like the record we did, it's called Crazy. DJ Head produced it. It really came from one day we were at the shop. It was me, Proof, and Head. And we were like discussing the place where you go watch the movie, the Peep. We was discussing Peep shows, right? Me and Proof like, dang, man, that'd be like crazy, man, if we did like a record like that, man, or whatever. And Head was like, man, I can make the beat. He was like, what, like, how would that sound? And we was like, man, it gotta be like slow, because we wanted to tell stories. So we just kind of described to him like how we wanted it to sound, and he came with it, and we was like, perfect. And he did the hook, we laid the verses, and that was it. So we were always, you know, the inspiration to the producer to give us what we need versus the other way around. Yeah. The producer is inspiring us.
We produce too. We're all producers.
I mean, it was business as usual. It was like we let everybody know that it was coming, and when it dropped, it sold just like Yesteryears. It was nonstop.
I see what you're saying. It goes like this, basically. Not only did we work up the hip hop shop, but we controlled the whole hip hop scene at the time. So from Monday to Saturday, there was something to do. So we had a place to sell our tapes. The clubs, you had Club 1212. You had Ebony Showcase. You had Napoleon's Retreat. You had The Shelter, we be there on Fridays. You had C-Note Lounge. A lot of dive bars, stuff like that, held hip-hop nights that were strong. And it was already communities there that were rapping too. So now it's like the Enterprise. We beaming down on other people's planets, hitting their stages, taking their bitches and taking them back to the Enterprise. You know what I mean? It was rock shows and hoes. That was always our motto. Like, when it came to the stage show, when it came to anything, the girls were always in the front, man. I don't know how it happened or what was going on, but that's where a lot of, like, the competition or whatever came in, because some dudes will lose their girl at our shows. The first D12 record that ever came out on the 5L of vinyl. We put out the very first Dirty Dozen record with Marshall on it. That's under our belt. We did that, like I said, we never had a deal. We always owned our own masters. We were running our own business. We're smart like that. So we ushered in the relevance of who D12 and the Dirty Dozen or whatever and what that is. So they were basically the soldiers. If anybody came in the shop trying to battle on that bullshit, trying to be disrespectful, you about to see my goons. We the brains, they the muscle. Proof happened to be brains and muscle. Plus, he loved the battle. That was just his thing. So he got some brothers that he pretty much conned them into loving it like he did, and they formed a group. That's basically what happened. Man, we could do this and do this and this. So, same usual. Denon was doing the beats. They was trying to get Dilla beats. Dilla really wasn't fucking with him like that. Everybody wanted Dilla beats. But Dilla was very exclusive very selective about who he worked with and who he did not. So, yes, all them dudes wanted to be down. However, they just couldn't have what we had because they weren't us. Even though they were with us and we all know each other, because the majority of D12, like I said, is from Running Ave. And then we met Bizarre. Bizarre was there. He's from 7 Mile. He's from the West Side. So he started coming around, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, Bizarre could battle. If you listen to the music now, you would not think that he was that guy then, but yes, he was worthy of being in that group at that particular time because he held his own weight. So that was the battle guys. When we did shows, it wasn't like Favela, you know what I'm saying, Slum Village. We did a lot of shows with Slum, but D12 was grimy at that time. It wasn't the group you see today. It was all battle. So nothing but metaphors, flows. Where I'm at right now today, it's like all that stuff was training. It's cool, it's history, it's all of that, but to me, the Hip Hop Shop platform never really did shit for nobody. It's just like memories and an old store. So career highlights, we were teaching and learning. That was like school. It's like, where's your highlights in kindergarten? Coloring inside the lines? I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't really say.
We brought the neo soul genre.
That was cool. Yeah.
We are definitely the fathers of that. It ain't no ifs, ands, bound. Can't nobody tell me other than different, because I know nobody heard a record like that until we did it. Neo soul, I mean, that's what they called it. That's what eventually the Philly cats
hated the name.
said that it was neo soul, which would be new soul. You know what I mean? They coined the phrase of it. So once he started making music for other artists that was out there, it was, you know, it had that sound to it. So they kind of took it and it's neo soul. And we like, no, it ain't. That's Detroit soul. like, no, it's not. So, you know, they get the credit for that, but they didn't create that.
Like the Motown.
We are actually the fathers of that particular sound. So that's cool. And right now, we the fathers of another sound.
Did it again.
So, you know, we pretty much took every genre of music that the Midwest had something to do with and mashed it up and made a mashup. We call it the Starfleet official sound. So that's what we do. We're creators.
I have a highlight. It just came to me. A guy a few months ago stopped me in a bar and he said, "You're Mud from 5 Ella. You don't know me, you may not remember me, but I bought your tape Yesteryears." I was listening to it the other day and I was going through something with my wife. So it's a song on there we have, because we are famous for the girl songs, the lovely girl songs. We had a song called Feedback. A song called Janet Jack Me Too, but Feedback was the one. And he told me he played my verse for his wife. She listened to it, they had a conversation, and it saved their marriage.
As far as Detroit hip hop is concerned, I love the music. Every artist is relevant, but the reality is you have to be a bricklayer. You have to be. If you're standing around watching people build the house, then that's just what you are. But your relevance is in being a bricklayer. I feel like we put bricks on the house of Detroit hip hop that can never be changed,
Foundation. We built the foundation.
altered.
Yeah, I can say that.
You know, when you talk about Detroit hip hop and most cats in Detroit hip hop try their best to mention Proof without mentioning us.
Impossible. But they do it.
It's impossible. Everything that you see in Proof comes from all three of us. If you take any one of us, you're looking at all three of us. There's no way to, because everything that makes any one of us what we are as artists is the other two. You understand what I'm saying? It's like we spent a lot of time and energy together. So when, you know, you watch Proof do whatever it is he does, I'm proud. Because I know, and I know that he knows, or knew, that it wasn't just him. You know what I mean? Regardless of what other people think, regardless of whatever he may have said to anybody about him or I, when it came to him, I and him, we were always A1. So our legacy is his legacy, and his legacy is our legacy. And as high as we can go, or have gone, or high as they can go or have gone, that's a part of what we are. For that particular time and even right now, we are Detroit hip hop. There's a lot of artists, but nobody's adding bricks to the house like we are. Period. In the story.
5 Ella has always stood for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. For some reason, there's a lot of rumors, a lot of negativity surrounding and shrouding our legacy. Like Diane was telling you, when people bring up the history, they always say proof. They never say 5 Ella. They never, you know what I mean? I was watching somebody do an interview and it was Rosenberg, and he was just talking about, yeah, Proof has singles on the radio and this, that, and the third. He had the jam on City. I'm like, ain't no secret we had it. I wasn't on. I'm trying to, or didn't it have something to do with it personally? So my whole thing is, for the people that know, it's time to tell the truth and usher in the good. I think it's important that people know that when you stand around and you don't say nothing, you're just as bad as the people that's lying and trying to hold back the good, because we've always represented the good. We always came with the positivity first. We always, it was always hip hop and love and the culture. I don't know what happened to my city, but when we had our hands on the pulse, there was something to do every night. Everybody was making money. Dudes was doing shows and getting paid. I'm talking about your random guy that, we could usher and find that dude. Oh, he dope, man. Get him with him. And then like Elzai coming through the hip hop shop. We all got around Elzai and was like, look, man, do this, do this, do this, do this, do that. You know what I mean? Like, for someone like Elzai to not, like, where you at? What are you doing? What's up? Where is everybody? Why y'all not working together? Why you can't forgive your brother? Yeah, everybody went through business and ups and downs. Me and Thom had our differences and all that stuff too. But however, sooner or later, people got to come together on one accord. And I think if they had the love, they had the juice, if they really had the juice, they'd still be able to do it today like we did with global warming 2022. So that's separating the men from the boys. That's separating all the practice that we did in the beginning from the hip-hop golden era, whatever they want to call it, to usher in this new era, Galaxy Sound, Starfleet, because we leaving this planet, man. We up out of here. As far as the rap and all that, the beats, nobody's coming where we can go because they don't know what we know. Now, if you want to get on the mothership and do this next generation thing and next genre we getting ready to do, we down with that. We open arms to people. We're not mad at anybody. We're here. We want to be used because we got all this information and all this knowledge, and it's just here. Or we can just give it to our kids and let them be the next, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. But for anybody outside our immediate family that's really trying to get down, really trying to get into this business, work with 5 Ella. Help us and watch us help you. Be Shine. The Be Shine. Now you're out.